made of strong stuff. Let's test that theory, shall we? He screamed as the blade left his throat and began sawing through the bone of the baby finger on his left hand, just below the knuckle. He wasn't afforded the luxury of passing out. On and on it seemed to go, his screams reverberating around the warehouse. Once it was over, he looked down at the bloodied stump where his finger had once been and threw up on himself, his sobs reverting to whimpers. The name! A single candle fluttered in between himself and the European, who was now sitting opposite, pointing the gun. Other than that, there was only darkness. He knew there was no way out now. All he could do was protect Susie. Fuck the name! When the boss finds out about this, your life won't be worth spit. The warehouse fell silent. The only sound, the rustling of the European's collar as he turned his head, staring back into the darkness. Ankergren, bring me the pliers. Chapter 2. In nearly 10 years of police work, not a lot surprised Detective Chief Inspector Jack Lambert. When he'd received the call about 2 bodies being discovered, he'd had the same rush of adrenaline he'd encountered numerous times before. However, shocked he was not. Until now. Stamping a half-smoked menthol into the damp earth, he sighed, resting a palm on his throbbing forehead. Detective Sergeant Watkins paced up the hill towards him, pale-faced, his shock of wiry ginger hair bobbing up and down. Sheets of rain lashed the grassy knoll, mimicking the sombre mood of the crime scene. Jack had forgotten to bring a coat. Yep, 2 of them, Watkins relayed. 1 male, 1 female. What do we know? Not a lot, he replied, his voice rising in pitch, as it often seemed to do when he was nervous. The wind was picking up now. Jack ground his teeth together in frustration. Just one of the many things he'd inherited from his estranged father. Weather like this wasn't going to make the job any easier. Still, South Shields wasn't exactly known for its exotic climate. Show me. They followed the muddy path towards the hastily erected white tent. Navigating the uneven terrain proved difficult, the easiest route having been cordoned off due to the presence of potential tyre marks. A mixture of uniformed police and medical teams in white overalls darted about, trying to solve their latest mystery. South Shields' famous foggy coastline was doing its job today, sending a thick grey paste their way. Ducking into the tent, Jack was met with the animated chatter of the investigating team. He squinted at the patchy grass, faint sets of footprints moving in short bursts from the centre. Detective Lambert? Even in drab white overalls, it was hard not to be taken aback by the striking looks of pathologist Rosie Linz. Half the force would have killed for the chance to have a shot with the auburn-haired stunner. Jack Lambert had been the one cop to charm her, but then he'd managed to break her heart. Having had enough of living in denial, he had come clean about his sexuality nearly a year ago. Far from finding himself liberated from the mental prison he'd put himself in, he had retreated into his shell. The pathologist, for her part, seemed to have an unhealthy hatred for him now. He couldn't say he blamed her. It didn't help that he'd specifically requested that she attend the scene of these murders. Rosie. Put these on, she said, casting a swift glance over his appearance, and follow me. While wishing he'd taken the time to shave that morning, he stepped awkwardly into the SOC suit, the material proving itchy as always. He'd gained a few pounds in the last year, and at a stocky 6 feet 2 inches, he found that most people took him for a bouncer rather than a police officer. They were only half wrong. He followed Rosie towards the centre of the tent as he wrestled with the zip. When he finally got to grips with it, he focused on breathing through his mouth